I want to ask you if you believe that the collapse is orchestrated in order to bring in central bank digital currencies. And do you think, you mentioned a timeline to me before that was anywhere from 2 months to 3 years. What are the realistic steps that you think they'll take to get us there?
So the system is going to collapse of its own weight. And if you know that it's going to collapse, wouldn't you like to introduce a system where you're in control of the new system? So that's what I believe is going on. They can't, I don't think, a lot of people say, are they doing this on purpose? Well, it was going to happen anyways. So, and if it's going to happen, wouldn't you like to control it on the way down and get rid of the regional banks and make the banking system very consolidated into 6 big banks in the US, so that then it would be a lot easier to introduce a central bank digital currency. And so banking becomes like a utility, pretty much owned by the government and linked to the central bank digital currency. And then from there, once the central bank digital currency is linked to all your credit cards and bank accounts, then social controls can be implemented. You can't have, if you're a dissenter like me, talking about truth, they shut you down. They just shut off your account. If they decided that cow farts are a big thing and they don't want you to eat meat, you'll have a quota. You go to the cash register and you try to ring up your meat, and the woman at the cash register says, "They won't let me ring you up." That's the kind of control, end-to-end control. It is literally a prison planet, so to speak.
The digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay. You will have all options, cash and digital cash. So what does it mean for you? For consumers, it would be free and easy to use everywhere in the euro area. All of that, of course, is subject to the legislative process. Cash or digital, the choice will be yours.
The idea had been by central banks to introduce this, as we said, central bank digital currency. But have you ever seen an article or a video or, whatever description of what it actually looks like? I mean, with central bank paper money, we know what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Bank digital currency, we know, and we've used it ourselves. We know what it looks like. But what does central bank digital currency look like? You see? So they never talk about that because people won't actually like the looks of it.
Yeah.
Because it apparently looks, and several central banks apparently, as I heard from my sources, have already fully developed the final stage of CBDC. I mean, it comes in stages, initially likely through your mobile phone, but that's only an intermediate step. And the final stage is, it's small, and it's the size of a grain of rice. Now, why is that?
And that grain of rice is your entire wallet, or?
Yes, it's your digital ID, your wallet, can be your passport, your key. Now, of course, what we found with our debit cards or credit cards is they've already now moved to the system, RFID chips, RFID technology where you just wave the thing, contactless.
Yes.
That is sort of the conditioning us in this direction. That in the future you'll just wave your hand because you've got the microchip implant under your skin, and because and each step there's a rational reason. It's easier just to wave this, isn't it? It's much faster because we always have to wait in the queues as everyone types in their numbers and all that. So just wave it, it's quicker. But the next rationalization will be, but you can lose your card, somebody can steal your card, and then you're just waving, that's kind of risky. Well, wouldn't it be nice if you couldn't lose it and nobody could steal it? But it's clear that that's it is almost a step too far for a lot of people because it is a violation of human dignity to actually inject something like that under the skin. So that's where you need some more persuasion.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that this concept of universal basic income has been around for around a century, where everyone should get some kind of citizens, payment. But the billionaire elites have so far not liked that. But since 2015, they've all come out. I mean, all the big billionaires and World Economic Forum have come out, this is a good idea, universal basic income. Well, why suddenly now? Because now we have the technology for the microchip implant. And so in 2017, Bill Gates came out and said that universal basic income is a good idea, but it's too early to introduce it. Now, what was still missing? So we had the technology for the microchip implant, but what was missing was the digital ID hadn't been introduced. Now, this is where this whole COVID agenda had become very useful.
All around the world, central bank digital currencies are either in pilot scheme or executive order stage in the States, or they're floating under the radar.
Every person that I come in contact with in the public, I ask them, do you know what a CBDC is or a central bank digital currency? And nobody knows.
The central bank digital currency is basically what we have now, so it's fiat currency, but it's going to be entirely digital, which means absolutely in the control of the government and the central banks.
Such a system would give the state full access to the details of all transactions, as well as the ability to cut off an individual's money supply with the flick of a digital switch.
The CEO of the Bank for International Settlements recently told the world that the great thing about central bank digital currency was that they could track every transaction.
We tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
What he just told you is if you're not allowed to buy chocolate, your money won't work to buy chocolate. If you're not allowed to go more than 5 kilometers from your home, your car or your money won't work more than 5 kilometers from your home. And those rules can be dictated and controlled at a phenomenally central level.
Central bank digital currencies are programmable. So it essentially means that it's a much easier way to push agendas, political agendas. For example, the World Economic Forum is talking about implementing a carbon allowance. So every individual will be given a certain amount of carbon that they are allowed to emit into the atmosphere. With a central bank digital currency, this becomes far more efficient because with a click of a button, you literally just program the money. And so if for whatever reason you buy too many burgers, too many sausages one week, when you go to fill up your car, your money could be cancelled. It could get declined simply because you use too much of your carbon allowance, essentially. Or even if you go to buy a plane ticket, it could get cancelled. So it's much easier to push forward political agendas and political ideologies when you have money which is programmable with just a click of a button.
It actually gives government pretty much total control over our lives because they can just press a button and close our bank accounts. No, they wouldn't do that now, would they? Well, think about it. Those Canadian truckers, they were legally and lawfully going about their business driving trucks, but legislation came in demanding that unless they'd been double vaxxed, they couldn't continue in their cabins doing long-distance lorry driving. And they protested, and in the end, their bank accounts were closed down by the Canadian government.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoking emergency powers against the truckers who are protesting vaccine mandates. Banks can now freeze their personal accounts.
If your truck is being used in these illegal blockades, your corporate accounts will be frozen.
With a central bank digital currency, if you do not hold the correct opinion, and if you're not a good citizen, then absolutely that money will be programmed to be used against you.
Our previous Chancellor, now unelected Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is clearly a big fan.
Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote. It's all part of the wider story of digital innovation that has delivered benefits to millions around the world and in the UK.
What would the benefits be to the general public?
Ease of use, I think, would be the only benefit.
Convenience.
Convenience, and that's how they're going to sell it.
The arguments for it are clear. It'll be quick, easy, cheap to transact. There'll be no problems at all, no loose change lying around. There'll be lots and lots of arguments for it.
But they won't tell you everything else. They won't tell you how it will be programmed. They won't tell you that it's a spy coin. They won't tell you that they're trying to phase out cash and that they want to track absolutely everything that you're doing.
The cons definitely outweigh any type of pros when it comes to, programming it for benefits and things like that. Because the money can also expire. Not enough people talk about that. During times of economic uncertainty, central banks like to print more money in order to stimulate the economy. But we could get to a point where instead of printing money, they say, well, if you don't spend 10% of your savings in the next 3 months, then this money is going to expire, simply because they need that money to change hands.
If I want to double taxes and just take it out of your account, no problem.
They can take your taxes out without you having to bother to pay. They can decide what comes to them first.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking.
Also, they never talk about the nature of this CBDC. What is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. Right. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it. He was invited to one of the old central banks in Europe that are very much promoting this. They showed him. And, he's a top, executive director of another central bank in Europe. And there's no reason to believe that he was telling me a story. And it was around this large and would be implanted under your skin. So that is the plan.
I had a friend, Nick Rockefeller, who was one of the Rockefeller family. And one of the things that we used to talk about was the ultimate plan of the banking industry, what they wanted to accomplish. The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips. There'll be no more cash. And this is given me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And you become a slave. You become a serf to these people. That's their goal.
The goal of this manipulation, and has been for a very long time, is to get the world population to see as a good idea, or the only option in given circumstances that are manipulated into place, the creation of a one world government, a world central bank which would administer all financial transactions on the planet, a world currency which wouldn't be coins and notes, it would be merely electronic, cashless society for which there are fundamental implications for freedom, and a microchipped population linked to a global computer, the latter of which sounds bizarre to many people on first hearing, except that we are ridiculously close to it and the technology already exists.
Tony Danner is standing at a new frontier in technology. The chip in his hand allows him to start his car, open doors, log onto his computer, and buy snacks in the break room, all with just a swipe of his hand.
You scan it at the kiosk, it comes up on the kiosk, and then to finalize your payment, you'll put your RFID chip.
The most cutting-edge thing about Hannes Huerblad isn't the phone in his hand. It's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is steadily becoming a part of normal life in Sweden. Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID or make payments.
What they're trying to do is take the financial system all digital. And we're trying to prevent that from happening because, and I don't care whether it's a central bank digital currency or your Visa card, once you have 100% digital, then you can have central digital control.
Using cash is one of the things we can do to make sure the hurdle will be higher for the central planners to introduce the CBDC.
Use cash every day if you can. If you can persuade 10 members of your friends and family to do the same, and then persuade 10 members of their family or friends, and we spread this virally, there would be a revolution. We have the power individually to shift the entire state of affairs.
We have the power to stop this.
We do.
The only way this can succeed is if people like you and people like me sit on our ass, sit on the couch, don't get up, don't show up, and go along with it.
If you look at the global control grid, it is us, we the people, who are financing it. We are going to work and we are building it. We are spending money in it. We are supporting it. We are supporting the people who are leading it. And we have the power to stop, because they are few and we are many. And if we just stop helping, they can't do it.
Everybody has power. Every single person. Because when you get a whole bunch of people, even if they have a little bit of power each, and you put it all together, now they got a lot of power. Now they can make governments do what they want.
You think a snowflake is powerless until you realize enough of them get together, they can shut down New York City. There are millions and millions of people all over the world fighting. People are pushing back all over, and it's very significant. The human race does not want to be controlled. Freedom has won every time, and every time it looked hopeless. What they're trying to do is so against the fundamental wisdom in the universe that they will fail. You have nothing to lose by fighting it all the way down to the wire every day, because the alternative is something, not only do you not want to live in it, but you do not want to arrive at the pearly gates and say that your soul accepted it.
You can take your digital ID and CBDCs and shove it where the sun doesn't shine. That is supposed to be the attitude of the people that understand the deception behind the CBDCs, digital ID, real ID, whatever you want to call it. Because at the end of the day, it is all about total control. That's why I put together a couple of clips to show you what exactly the CBDCs are supposed to do, which they call programmable money. This programmable money would dictate how you spend your money, when you spend your money, and where you spend your money. You see, like in the clips you saw, a lot of the information that came out told you that if they don't want you to buy meat, you won't be able to do so. Why? Because of the programmability of the money. So that money, if they deem you to be a dissenter, if they deem you to be a rebel that goes against the narrative pushed by the government, they will shut down your ability to spend that digital money, which it is no real money. And it's bad enough that we got to use fiat currencies. You see, now you're going to use ones and zeros in the computer, digital money, which is exactly why they're trying to have you eat lab-grown foods, because you cannot use digital money to purchase real stuff. You get what I'm saying? Because once you do that, that's why they want you to use public transportations. They don't want you owning nothing and be happy, because you cannot use money out of thin air and buy real stuff. It doesn't make sense. So the only way for them to balance it out, if you eat bugs, if you eat lab-grown food. That's why they don't want you eating meat. They're doing away with farms. They don't want you eating any real stuff, because if you spend this invisible money, not ones and zeros, and use that invisible money to purchase some real stuff, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So to counter that, what they have to do is feed you fake everything. That's the only way. That's the only way they can do that, is to feed you fake everything. So they are pushing for this real ID, digital ID, all of that. Why? Total control. Total control. They want to control every aspect of your life, and they will sell it to you as conveniency. It is good. It is, it will make your life much more easier. They'll sell it to you however they see fit, however they can sell it to you. So now it's up to you to realize the deception behind all of this, which is why I pulled the scripture out in the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus, the 20th chapter and the 12th verse. It says, sometimes what seems like a real bargain can turn out to be a very expensive mistake. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom to all you brothers and sisters out there that are of the household of faith. Beginning with 144,000 mighty men of the house of Israel, down to the men, women, and children that are allotted to be delivered in this latter days, to all of the elect, and to the brothers that are pushing this gospel in all sincerity and in all honesty, to you all I say, shalom, right? We're living in a very incredible times. In these kind of times we're living in, you have to be aware of the agendas that are going on around you. You have to be circumspect. You cannot just live your life like, nothing bothers you, because all this stuff is going to affect us, each and every one of us. They're looking to push this digital way of living, everything going digital. And if you don't understand the real agenda behind it, you might get sidetracked and thinking that, it probably is actually good. Well, it's nothing good. That is why all these clips you just saw is explaining to you how wrong this is and how they will use this form of transaction, this digital way of transaction, to control every aspect of your life. That's what it is, total control. You see, and this stuff is digital prophecy. It is, this digital way of living is biblical prophecy, because in the Bible it warns you about there is going to come a time where you will be required to make a transaction with you needing a verification chip, which a verification chip, which is a device that will put in your hand or with your forehead, and we already have that. You have this individual here. He's a whistleblower. Is included in the clips you saw earlier before this video, right? It says WEF Global Leader for Tomorrow. So he is a part of that circle. So he's been a part of it, and he understands where all this thing is going. He turned whistleblower, explaining to you, says here, economics professor Richard Werner explains how, according to his sources, CBDCs will ultimately be held on small microchips. See that? Implanted under the skin. And that's exactly what the Bible says it is. It says, and universal basic income will be used to entice people into accepting this gross invasion of their freedom, privacy, and bodily autonomy. You see that? Just like they did with during 2020, 2021 with the whole thing, right? They will give you a boogeyman and tell you that something that is not good for you is actually good for you. They will sell it to you that way. If you want to travel again, if you want to do this and do that, visit grandma, grandpa, you have to have that, right? That's why it says here the real ID, right? For you to board domestic flights, you think it's going to stop there? It's not going to stop there. Or enter federal buildings, right? You will need, and this is just by next month, right? You would need this real ID, digital ID. So this is where all of this is going. Hence why you have to be aware of it. You have to understand what is going on around you. You've been in the Bible, you were warned of this, right? The Bible tells you it's going to come a time where this was going to happen. Actually, in the Revelation, the 13th chapter, it tells you that this is going to happen. This is Revelation, the 13th chapter, and the 16th verse. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." See that? And that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark or the number of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600 and 6. That is where you get your 666 from. That's why throughout Hollywood they push that 666 thing out there, because it all ties into the beast system, this new way of doing things. And all the clips you saw is warning you of this. It is going to happen. And we're in the time where it is about to happen, right? Because a lot of people might say, oh, we've been hearing this for a long time. Well, before they can introduce that, they have to build the infrastructure first. And the infrastructure for that digital way of living that will require you to have the mark of the beast has been built, right? Amazon Pay with your palm. What do you think that is, right? A lot of all these places, Aldi's and things like that, they have already incorporated this new way of transaction, where you have to show your, wave your palm through some scanner, even the self-checkouts. Why do you think they have self-checkouts where you won't be able to have anybody check you out, because you get everything you want and you have your digital ID, you have your chip, right? You just go there, wave your arm, and the money will be deducted from your chip. That is where we are going. So the infrastructure has been laid. All we need now is for them to mandate it and push it. Trump is already in the forefront talking about all of that, and he's with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is for the Neuralink, which is the brain chip. We just read that in Revelation, the 13th chapter. Here's Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, and the 2nd verse. It says, "When the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets, so that the runner can carry the correct message to others." So the correct message that we are carrying to you is, we are fastly approaching a time where you will be required to get a digital verification identity chip in your hand or in your head. The scriptures are very plain on that. That's why it says here, write my answer plainly on tablets. What is the mark of the beast? If someone asks you what is the mark of the beast, you should be able to plainly say what it is. And with current events, things that are happening, there should be no mistake of what the mark of the beast is. That's where you have your CBDCs, right? All of this is a part of that system, this digital system, so that the runner can carry the correct message to others. It says this vision is for the future time, and now we are in that time right now. It says it describes the end. So part of the end is you will be required to get this implantable chip that will carry everything about you in that chip. And they can turn that chip off if they want, if they look at you as a bad individual. And if you don't want to take that chip, it could cost you your life. This is the future vision. And this is where we are. So it describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. Right? No longer will it be delayed. We are about to live through this moment in time. But for them to do that, they have to destroy this present system. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they're using Trump to do that. It amazes me how a lot of people profess themselves to understand, oh, the government is not for us and blah, blah, blah. But for somehow to believe that Trump, the wicked elites, the hidden hand, or, you know, whatever term you want to put it, the globalists, Trump just somehow circumvented them and became president, and they had no clue about this guy. He just came out of nowhere, and now, you know, he's fighting against them. It blows my mind, man, how people believe that. And then they will come up with terms like, oh, Trump is playing 5D chess, and, you know, whatever it is, you know, whatever floats your boat, I guess, that helps you sleep at night. Whatever floats your boat, I'll find your lost remote. Right? But that is the time we're in. It will no longer be delayed, and all of this has happened. They have to destroy this present system, which will bring about lawlessness, chaos in the streets, and then they will come and give you the solution. For us to go back to where things are, well, you have to get the CBDCs in your arm, the digital identity. We have to have all this to get back to normal again. They showed you a trial run during the 2020, 2021. That was what happened. If you want to get back to normal, well, you have to have this, you know, jabby jabs. You got to get it so we can get back to normal. So you can go visit grandma, grandpapa, all of that other madness they push, right? Well, it's not going to be any different. But the only thing is, it will be a whole lot crazier because they don't have time to waste anymore. Which brings us here in Revelation, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse. It says, therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who live in the heavens. Rejoice, but terror will come on the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you in great anger, knowing that he has little time. So the devils that run the world, the global elites, right? The globalists, the oligarchs, the 1%, whatever term you want to call them, the hidden hand, right? The Illuminatis, all of that, the wicked elites in the Bible, they're known as the wicked Edomites that run the whole show. Guess what? They're about to, all gloves are off. They're about to push everyone to their very limit. Why? Because they have a very short time to accomplish this. Hence the term warp speed. They have to move at a warp speed to accomplish the agenda. They don't have a lot of time to waste. Right? So everything we're all going through, we're all about to go through, is to establish the NWO. Right? Novus Ordo Seclorum. You see that? To establish that, this is where we at, and you have to be aware of it. You can't take it lightly. You cannot take it lightly. We are all about to be tested. The hour of temptation. Let's close out with that. The hour of temptation. Let's get in the KJV. The hour of temptation, which is in Revelations, the 3rd chapter and the 10th. Yep. Revelation the 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So that hour of temptation is when the mark of the beast will be implemented, when it will be made, it will be mandated for you to get it. If you don't get it, well, it will lead to your head being chopped off. So choose wisely. Are you going to maintain your integrity and trust in the Lord, or will you sell out and get that mark of the beast? You should think on these things. You should meditate on these things. With that, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruach Double honors to apostles and elders of great millstone. See you next time, Lord willing. Shalom. Shalom.